Assalamu alaikum. So let's start the season 2 of the Halaqa Haven Ramadan series. So for those of you who don't know, last Ramadan, which feels like just yesterday, I did a 99 Names of Allah Ramadan series. And so this year, with everything that's been happening, I wanted to focus on self-development, so Tazkiyah. So that's going to be the topic of this year's series, inshaAllah. So let's begin. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وذلك جزاء من تزكى. Gardens of lasting bliss, graced with flowing streams, and there they will stay. Such is the reward of those who purify themselves. And this is from Surah Taha, verse 76. So I briefly mentioned with how the state of the world is that this is why I chose the topic, but more importantly, actually, Tazkiyatun nafs, or purification of the self, it means, Tazkiyatun nafs means purification of the self. And so if we look at it this way, Ramadan comes not only for us to fast, but it actually also comes for us to cleanse our hearts, to rejuvenate our souls, and to purify us. And so, therefore, if we're learning about Tazkiyatun nafs, it's going to help us maintain this purification even after Ramadan, inshaAllah. So we don't want just to purify our souls for this month and then Ramadan leaves us and we're back to how we were, how our old state of character was. No, this Ramadan comes so we can actually purify ourselves and become better versions of ourselves after Ramadan leaves. And so that's the importance of purifying ourselves. And so if we start thinking about the word specifically Tazkiyah, we can use an example of a tree. So if we look at it how does a tree become huge with a thick trunk and many branches and leaves? It happens by planting a seed and having that seed grow. But this seed will only grow when it's placed in an effective environment where it can grow and develop into a beautiful tree. And so we can apply this example to us as humans. If we're placed in an environment where we're nurtured, where we're loved, where we are able to build a bond with Allah which no one can disturb, then we are able to purify our souls. My sister even also gave this example of a flower. So if you see a flower wilting, do you blame the flower itself or do you blame the environment? You would blame the environment because a flower needs an environment where it's nurtured and their soil is good and all these things. And so we can apply this to us as humans as well. And so I feel with the pandemic, but even with other aspects of life, self-development has been hashtag trending, hashtag viral. And I think that's because we've realized that this life is so finite, it can end within a blink of a button. And so things can change. And so self-development is us taking these steps to become better versions of ourselves because we don't know when we're going to die. And so just trying to become better versions of ourselves each day can just help us with that. And so we're learning new skills, but also we're overcoming some of our bad habits. And so I don't want to just look at self-development in general, but I want to focus on the Islamic method of it, and that's where Tazkiyah comes in again. And so Tazkiyah helps us become the best Muslims we can be by removing any obstacles, be that physical or mental, that may come our way. So we can have negative emotions like jealousy, anger, hypocrisy, or wrong actions like backbiting or cheating, and these prevent us from reaching our best potential. And so basically, if we can remove or detach ourselves from these obstacles, we're going to be able to strengthen our nearness to Allah, inshaAllah. And so inshaAllah, by the end of this series, we're not going to only just learn about Tazkiyatun nafs and how to attain it, but also how to live it, breathe it throughout our lives, throughout our days, throughout the hours. And may we reflect on the signs of God throughout the world, reflect on and understand the deeper meaning of life, inshallah. So when we focus on what it takes to develop ourselves spiritually, but also mentally, physically, we're able to maybe understand our faith even more and understand the signs of Allah and just put our full faith and trust in Allah. It might make it easier. And so it's quite interesting how I feel we've sort of become hyperfixated on the essence of fasting, and that fasting is simply just fasting from food and drink. And so we like forget what the ultimate goal or aim from Ramadan is. I mean, that is one of the goals of Ramadan. Yes, we have to fast. That's been commanded by Allah. But Ramadan is so much more than just fasting and abstaining from certain things that have been prescribed for us to abstain from. It's actually also about becoming better versions of ourselves and cleansing our souls. It's about reflecting on the great things we do during this month, be that donating, praying, being kind, charitable, being nice to family, relationships, all those sort of things. And it's about not just being able to do those things during the month of Ramadan, no, but it's actually being able to continue these deeds, continue these acts, even after Ramadan leaves us. And that is what I hope, first and foremost, speaking for myself, that is what I hope to gain from this series, that ultimately, we don't know if this is going to be our last Ramadan. And so ultimately, I want this Ramadan to be the change that I need to be a better version of myself. I want it to purify my soul, and I want to reflect on the good and just become more near to God, to Allah, inshaAllah. And so today's sort of episode, I guess, was sort of like this introduction of what I'm hoping to cover, but also like this introduction of what actually Tazkiyah nafs is. And I want to mention that if anyone wants to like follow along, I'm taking notes from the book called Tazkiyah, The Islamic Path of Self-Development. It's edited by Abdul Rashid Sadiqi. It's from the Islamic Foundation. I bought it, I think, from Q Publishing, if you have that around. But yeah, I'll be taking notes from there, and inshallah, throughout the days of Ramadan, I'll be discussing what has been written in these books and just giving examples and that sort of thing. And inshallah, we'll be able to apply it to our daily lives. So I think that's it for today's episode. Quite short, simple, sweet, just to start us off on the right path, inshaAllah. And so I want to start with, I want to end actually with a dua. So, Bismillah, Allahumma ij'al siyami fihi siyam al-sa'imin, wa qiyami fihi qiyam al-qa'imin, wa nabbihni fihi an nawmat al-ghafilin, wa hab li jurmi fihi ya ilah al-alamin, wa'afu anni ya afiyan an al-mujrimin. O Allah, on this day, make my fast the fast of those who fast sincerely, and my standing up in prayer of those who stand up in prayer obediently. Awaken me in it from the sleep of the heedless, and forgive me my sins, O God of the worlds, and forgive me, O one who forgives the sinners. I also wanted us all to, if we could just make a like quick dua for our loved ones who have gone and left us, who are not able to reach this Ramadan, but who had the intention to fast this Ramadan. May Allah accept it from them, their intention, and may He forgive them, and may we be reunited with them in a much better world, inshaAllah. Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la, inshaAllah. I also, there's this podcast that I also listen to, and at the end of the episode, he does a call for action, and I sort of want to do the same thing, but I want to call it a moment to reflect. And so with what I've discussed today, I would like everyone to either mentally note this down, write it down in a journal if you have one, or have just some place where you have it written down or in your head. But I want us all to reflect on how our character has been these past years and what we're hoping that this Ramadan will bring for us, what change it's going to bring, and what we want to improve. Is there something of our character that we don't generally like? Maybe it's like you get too angry, or you're not patient, or you're not praying with khushu'. So what I want everyone to do for today's episode is just reflect on that, reflect on your character, think about what you want to improve, what you're trying to reflect on, why are you fasting Ramadan? What is the benefit other than fasting? How do you want to improve your character? And inshallah, we'll cover different aspects of this throughout the series. But yeah, that was just my moment to reflect for everyone to just have that in their mind for today's episode. And as always, anything incorrect or false or something that I've said is wrong, please forgive me. It's from myself, and of course, all good and righteous is from Allah. So forgive me for my